have happened this week within hours or days of each other. Two major events, two major things that have ramifications to the people of this country. The first is the abnormal increase in the price of fuel. The abnormal increase in petrol, diesel, and kerosene. And the second thing, surprisingly, is an attempt through a bill by the county assemblies, through their forum, to have pensions for governors, speakers of county assemblies, deputy governors, and MCS. These two things are related in a striking way. In a country where many people, a disturbing percentage by World Bank statistics, by the National Bureau of Statistics in this country, by experts, in a country where unemployment is at rates you can't even imagine, that will bring down governments elsewhere, in a country where a disturbing percentage of people go to bed hungry, in a country where about 50% of the population, and I'm talking about World Bank, Kenya National Bureau of Standards, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, I'm talking about serious statistics, in a country where just about 50% of people live below $1 a day, live below 100 shillings a day. In a country like that, you have MCAs and governors wanting to pass a bill in parliament. I think they'll do it through their county assemblies, whatever, but I think finally will end up in Senate, to give governors 11 million shilling lump sum payment when they go home after 2 terms. To give the deputy governor things like 7.4 million cash. Shika hii uende nyumbani. You have been a good guy. To give the speaker millions, MCAs 1.7 million. And what is worse, if these proposals become law, if this becomes law, the governor will not only earn 700,000 until they die, but that when they die, because we must all die, and their wife is alive, the wife will take over to continue earning that 700 until she dies. Now you can imagine in a country where people marry many wives, the governor will certainly give this facility to the youngest wife, who could now live another 40 years, earning 700,000 shillings. Due to the deputy governor, the MCS, and so on. Look at the country I'm talking about. It is in this country that you are having petrol sell at 135 shillings per liter. 134, 35 shillings per liter. This is the country I'm talking about. And this then means that many things, many things will be affected. Of course, the most obvious is transport. And the moment you touch transport, you touch everything else. And this is the country I'm talking about. A country in which now, even raising fare to go to work is going to be a nightmare to Kenyans. That a big portion of the so-called hustler, this big portion of the hustler income, whether salary or proceeds from boga selling or ndudhi, whatever it is, a big portion of that will just go into transport to travel to your place of work. You haven't even eaten because the food again will go up. This is the country I'm talking about. And I've said I'm going to do a video. I'll put it also in the print media, in which I'm going to address myself to Raila Odinga and William Ruto. These are the two top contenders. They should stop telling us about the things they're talking about. I want Ruto to tell me how he will finance this bottom-up thing. If all the money is either stolen by Kenyans and by admission of the World, by assessment of the World Bank, admission of our own government, admission of Uhuru Kenyatta when he was finance minister, admission by the same Uhuru when he's president, we lose a third of our budget to thieves. Uhuru talks of 2 billion per day. Per day. How are you going to finance whatever ideas you have, whether it's bottom up or bottom down? How will you finance it? The other part of money, the remaining is lost through exorbitant pays and perks by members of parliament. I challenge Raila Odinga today. I challenge Ruto today. Tell me how you are going to tame the greed of MPs. I have a suggestion for you. Come and tell us you'll do it. We will vote for you. Otherwise, let's just give you votes to enjoy it. You are not going to change this country in any manner. Are you going to abolish the Parliamentary Service Commission? That body that allows an employee to set their own salary and perks. Are you going to make members of parliament earn what is commensurate with our GDP and the state of the economy of this country, like other countries? Are you going to ensure an MP gets 150,000 shillings, 200,000 shillings, so that only those who want to serve will join parliament? And there will be no other allowances. How do you pay somebody 1 million shillings as a salary, whatever it is? Then again, you pay him for sitting allowance. You pay me a salary to work. Then when I report on duty, you pay me for sitting on a chair. In a poor third world country. What is your response, Raila Odinga? What is Ruto saying about that? What is your thinking about the whole arrangement of county representation? What's your take? The men who developed Nairobi into the city we inherited and worked with Rubia and Lugonzo up to the time of Margaret Kenyatta, those men were not paid, those women were not paid, and they are never paid in serious cities. These are serious businessmen and other stakeholders, people who have an interest in the city. It is in their interest to ensure the city works or the town works. These are the people, the aldermen we used to have in this country. This was a person who had a serious interest in Nairobi and sat on the council, city council, to ensure that things worked. There was water, roads were there, the city was clean, because then there will be investment and his business will prosper. Now, and I think it's Moi who started this, councillors used to work on a voluntary basis until around 1978-79. Most of them were teachers in the rural areas. You taught, you got a salary, but you gave voluntary service to the county council. Look, even the chairman of the county council, they never got big monies until Moi said choose one. And then we got it all wrong. So what is your position, Ruto? What is your position, Raila? How are you going to manage greed in this country? And you will not stop people stealing in this country. And this is just the beginning of those questions. Until you give us your stand on Harambee, Raila Odinga. What is your stand on Harambee, William Ruto? Forget about these other flower girls. What is your stand? Because so long as people identify their leaders through so-called development consciousness, through contributing in Harambees, we will always get crooks into leadership. And these crooks will get money through stealing public funds. So the first step is to stop Harambees and make it illegal. Once you do that, there will be less motivation for people to steal. And without you, again, knowing it, you'll realize that we will get good leaders because we will have another way of identifying leaders. So I am asking our leaders, how can we get to a point where you can sell mafuta at 135 shillings? And I have an answer for you, dear Kenyans. Your leaders don't live in this country. Chinua Achebe, in a famed book, small book, The Trouble with Nigeria, said Shehu Shaga, the president then, didn't live in Nigeria. Yes, you could see him there, but it's not there. African leaders don't live in Africa. They are there physically. But Once you have a leader in this country, at whatever level, a principal of a school, a manager, a director in a state corporation, a CEO, they cease to be themselves. They are surrounded by handlers, sycophants, and they live in a make-believe world. That's why research was done some times back that showed many of retired judges from the Commonwealth, in Africa especially, and India, when they went back to England, those Mzungus who are our first judges, they never lived for 5 years. They died. Why? Because when they are here, they never knew who paid their water bills. They never knew who paid for them electricity. They never knew where their food came from. They never paid rent. They never paid their driver. They never did anything. But when they go back there, they can't afford the same house. They live in a flat. They must do their own grocery. They must pay for electricity, pay for the post to look, and they just die. So our leaders don't live in this country. They are out of touch with reality. That's why mafuta can be 135. If you ask Raila the price of bread, do you think he knows? He doesn't know. If you ask these guys, do they know what this increase means? They don't know because they don't live in this country. And I'm asking our leaders, take time. Even a simple person, when you give him a job, and I know how it works. The moment you get a job, there are people who surround you, shape you, own you. I visited a permanent secretary friend of mine when he had just been appointed. I just laughed. I told him, my friend, these guys are cooking you. Your diary is fixed by people. Oh, today there's a dinner with the Japanese embassy. Oh, there's a cocktail where. Oh, you are doing this. They own you, and your brain goes on leave. And if you have small, little capacity, not much capacity, like most of us are, with limited capacity, then you realize you will not work for Kenyans. So mafuta hii inaongezeka kwa sababu viongozi wetu hawaishi hapa Kenya. Hawajui maana ya kuongeza mafuta. Hawajui maana ya shida wananchi wanapitia. Hawajui hata bei ya mkate. Kwa hivyo wanapoongeza mafuta, wanaongeza kiholela holela tu. Because if it was a must, because there are factors that could be responsible. I'm not a fool, and I'm not an economist, but I know there are factors beyond the government. The dollar factor, increase in crude oil prices, and so on and so forth. I know all those. But I also know that about 50% of the cost of a liter of petrol are government taxes and levies. Government can do something about those. Just to show they realize that Kenyans are suffering and that they live in this country. I hope they will open their eyes.